guys whenever you want to take it away.
All right,
Coach?
go ahead and get started. It's good watching the video. It was really just what I thought out there watching from the sidelines. Really proud of the way our guys finished and the perseverance. I mean, it's just one of those games that felt like everything that could go wrong happened. And I think the normal and easy thing to do is to get discouraged maybe and not finish the right way. But I didn't feel like our guys gave in at all during the game. I think there was a mindset on the sidelines, definitely at halftime, that we were going to find a way to get it done, regardless of the challenges that were out there. Going back, one thing I was proud of, going back and looking at the video, after the interception that we threw late in the third quarter, we had 5 drives the rest of the game, and we got points on 4 of those 5 drives. I think we went field goal, touchdown, punt, touchdown. And so really, I mean, that's like the most critical time, right, after you throw an interception and you're down. Then we had the fumble on the punt return. So in those critical moments, our guys went and got points, and obviously we needed all of those points. Obviously, the 13-play, 94-yard drive was incredible. I mean, it doesn't matter if you have a veteran quarterback that's been a multi-year starter. That's a tough situation to be in, and for Chase to be in that in his really first opportunity playing when the game's on the line, I think that says a lot about him. I think he'll be able to take a lot of confidence from that. I also think our offense and our team will be able to take confidence in Chase because of what he's done on the field. So I think that's definitely a win. Really proud of the way that we continue to run the ball. I believe we had 293 yards this week. And I think the last 3 games we've averaged around 283 yards rushing, which is awesome. And I think it's just going to open up some things in the passing game and create some issues for defenses trying to figure out how they want to defend us. Continued the explosive plays. We had 13 explosive plays, 9 of them in the running game, which I think was really big. So a lot of positives. The biggest things that need to get corrected were the turnovers. I believe we had 2 on offense and then 1 there in the special teams, and then we did have 4 sacks. So looking at what happened there and getting that corrected. And then also weren't as efficient on 3rd and long as we have been earlier this year. Looking ahead at Wake Forest, we got a lot of respect for Wake Forest. I mean, every year you know what you're going to get from an effort standpoint. They always play hard. Coach Clawson, I think, has done a really good job of creating that mindset with their team. They have 7 starters coming back on defense. 3 of the front 4 are seniors that have played a lot of ball. I believe the 2 D tackles are redshirt seniors, have been there 5 years. I know they've scored twice on defense this year. So obviously we're looking ahead. After we learn from the Syracuse game, we'll be looking ahead, getting ready for those guys. But I think for where we are right now, we kind of break up our season into quarters, and this is kind of the last game of the second quarter before we reach halftime with the open week coming after that. So, really where we are at this point in the season is really about focusing on ourselves. We've got a lot of things that we need to kind of clean up, details that we need to be more precise with. And so that's really where our focus will be, and really finishing strong. An opportunity to get a 3rd road win here before the open week and continue on our next goal. But I think that game this past week, and Coach said it in the locker room after the game, we've had one of those learning lesson games the last 2 years, and we had to learn from a loss. Hopefully this year this is one of them we can learn from and be able to do it with a win. So that's kind of our mindset as we move forward. With that, I'll open up for any questions.
Coach, there's a video that shows you after that last touchdown celebrating, jumping in Coach Squeeze's arms, and I thought, I haven't seen that kind of emotion since maybe the national championship. Can you put me in your mind? Coaches, we think of coaches sometimes as button up and conservative. What's going through your mind there? You obviously know it.
Yeah. My wife showed me the video later. She said I went for the high five and Coach Sweeney went for the hug. I'll take whatever I can get right now. I think the biggest thing, I mean, obviously you're in the moment and you're wanting to finish. I mean, we've had some situations this year we've gotten down to the goal line and haven't finished. And, just to kind of see what's happening on that drive. I mean, once we made the 4th and 6 throw and catch, and then I think it might have been the next play, either next play or the play after, Chase pulls the ball and runs it down there. So you're just feeling like we're about to get this thing done. And I think that was the first time that we took a lead in the entire game. That was definitely a exciting moment. And I had a buddy text me and ask me why I didn't tackle him. I said, I'm going to save that for later in the year. Right now, we're going to go with where we are. But no, I mean, it was no doubt an exciting moment. And to be able to go finish that, I was just proud of our guys, really proud of the offensive line and those running backs being able to go and really impose their will. I mean, like I said before, it's one thing to be able to run the ball. It's another thing to run the ball when they know you're running the ball. That's very difficult. And, I think that was definitely a great finish to a difficult week.
Coach, Dave Clausen fired his defense coordinator last week. How difficult is that just from a game planning standpoint, trying to get an idea of what they do?
Yeah, it's definitely creates some unknowns a little bit. Typically, when you do that, you don't make huge changes. There may be some minor tweaks and maybe some different things in coverage and a little bit personnel where you're moving guys around, doing some different things. We were able to see a few of those things on video from the Rice game this past week. I'm sure they'll have a few other little wrinkles that are different, but for the most part, structurally, it's hard without an open week to really go change a whole lot. But that's kind of where we were our first 3 or 4 games this year, just kind of new D coordinators, new setups, new coaches. There's a lot of kind of unknowns, and so obviously you got to be prepared for that, but all you can do is go off of what's on video. And I think the coaches that have kind of taken that over have been around the same defensive schemes, what they've been doing. We'll have our guys prepared, but really the big message for our guys is no different than every week is, hey, let's worry about ourselves and being efficient with what we do, and we'll have answers if they want to come and change things up a little bit.
Jeff, is there a sense that among the coaches and the team that, hey, we made it through last week and now it's time to get back to maybe a normal, regular week?
Yeah, we've been waiting for a normal week for a while. It's just kind of been one of those years a little bit with everything that's going on. There's no doubt, that we're hoping this week will definitely be more of a normal week than this past week. But, when you're at the top, then that's to be expected. It's a lot more difficult, to stay at the top than it is when you're trying to climb up and get there. And it's part of that mentality and that perseverance that you got to have. And hey, whatever's thrown our way, how are we going to respond, right? I mean, just like we tell them life lessons. Everybody's going to face adversity. It's the way that you respond that separates who you are. And that's one thing that, we felt like knowing our team and knowing the makeup of our team and kind of who we've been and the culture that we have and all those things, we would like to think that we would respond the right way, but you don't truly know until you get put in that situation. And we were put in it and we learned from it, and I think there's a lot of confidence that can be taken from that. Obviously, we don't want to be in that situation every week, but when you play a full season, you're going to have a game or two like that, and the teams that are able to do the things they want to do at the end of the year find a way to win those games, and so we were proud that we were able to do that. He did not. We played Ross more and played those starters a lot more, just with the way the game was going. Yeah, coach's decision. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know you're more interested in team, but at this point, is Travis Etienne sort of being the Heisman conversation, or at least the conversation is one of the best backs in the country?
Oh man, he's special. I wouldn't want to trade him for anybody else's back in the country. I think he's awesome. I mean, it's obvious. Everybody watching the game, just seeing him breaking tackles, and he just gets better and better. Part of it with him too is, he's got to learn when to stick with some runs. A lot of them he wants to bounce, and he can get away with a lot of those. But, he's also getting coached up on some of those 3rd and 1s just to go hit it and get the first down. Not always looking for the home run, but he's not one we want to slow down a whole lot. And he's having a great year, and we're not surprised because he's worked extremely hard. And, I know he's up there around the country in yards per rush and all that, and hopefully that'll continue, and we'll continue to be able to get him the ball, and guys up front will continue to block for him like they are.
Coach, Amar's been so solid on punt returns this season. He had the 2 drops, another one he had to kind of dive for. What did you talk about with him? Was he just having trouble with the hang time?
Yeah, it was a difficult day for him. And I know he was disappointed during the game and disappointed after the game in his performance. And really, my message to him is, hey, you're one of the most consistent guys that we have on this team. He's one of the most consistent guys that I've coached, and up until this game, he's done a great job back there. And so there's a few things I think fundamentally that I can help him with that we'll do in practice. And then also we're going to have to get that jugs machine and shoot that ball as high as we can. I mean, that guy was hitting some missiles, and there's a difference when that thing's up there. It's like trying to catch a fly ball at second base, and that thing's way up in the air, and you're waiting forever for it to come down. And but I promise you, there's nobody that'll work harder to get that fixed than him, and he takes it very personal and learning experience. And not very many times can you fumble a ball inside your 10 that late in the game when you're losing and still win. So we're very fortunate from that. But I know he'll work extremely hard on that this week.
You're almost halfway through the season on offense. What's the biggest surprise so far?
I mean, we really go into every year. You really don't know exactly what it's all going to look like. So just kind of watching it as it comes together. Obviously, we couldn't have predicted some of the things, that would have happened. I would say the thing I'm probably most pleased with overall is our explosive plays that are back. I mean, we're ahead of where we've been really for the last 2 years in explosive plays, and then also the way that we've been able to run the ball. I've been very pleased with that, and it's not just Travis. I mean, both Choice and Feaster, have added to that mix. And I think for us, we have a confidence in throwing the ball with our quarterbacks and with our wide receivers. And but for us to, really be at our best offensively, we got to have a major threat running the ball that you can count on consistently. So I would say that's probably what I'm most pleased with, is the explosive plays and the way we've been able to run the ball.
What are the challenges of preparing 2 young quarterbacks to play when you're kind of diversity in the medical staff as to whether or not one of them?
We're actually preparing 4 quarterbacks to play. That's a good challenge for Coach Streeter. I think the biggest thing is just teaching, is try not to make it bigger than it is. I mean, getting Chase ready last week, he was going to get more reps. Chase has always been a guy that's paid attention. He's been in every quarterback meeting that we've had and done a good job paying attention. But last week's the first week he actually got a lot of reps to prepare. But Trevor, we're fully expecting everything to be okay and him be back soon. So it's getting those guys ready, and then really for us, I mean, we got confidence. Even though those guys haven't played a whole lot, we've got confidence in those guys. For us, it's really getting, Ben Batson and Hunter Renfro, in a position where they can go and at least manage the game and do some things offensively if we got in that type of situation.
Because of his missed time with the injury, what is Ben Batson? What is kind of his standing right now? And would Hunter be the backup or the third string guy going in, or is Ben in a position where he could actually see some time before?
Yeah, I think Ben's been coming along. I think he hurt his finger a couple weeks ago, and so I think this past week's the first week he's been able to really be full speed and throw the ball and do all those type of things. But obviously, he's just a true freshman. Just getting here, didn't have the spring like Trevor, and obviously didn't have a year like Chase did. But for us right now where we are, we're kind of preparing both of those guys, and we'll evaluate them as practice goes with Ben and with Hunter. Obviously, Ben's been full-time quarterback, and he's been in all those meetings and probably understands a little bit of it as far as how everything operates, the calls, protections, all that type of stuff. Hunter's a guy that's kind of going back and forth. Fortunately for me, he has a great understanding of what we're doing from a wide receiver perspective, so he can spend more time in the quarterback meetings, learning some of those calls. But I think for us, we're going to evaluate both of those guys. They'll get some opportunities in practice, with the team, live reps and all those type of things, kind of see where we are. And then it also may be a situation, depending on how the game's going, what we need to do in the game. But we haven't made a firm decision on that yet. I think that's going to be something we'll watch this week.
How's Renfro's arm?
Renfro throws it good. I call him Banks McFadden. He's just kind of that old school guy. I mean, here's the funny thing is, I went up to him in pre-practice on Monday, and Coach Sweeney had made the announcement, that Mark wasn't going to be playing. And so I went up to Renfro, and the music's playing. It's loud. Y'all been out here during our pre-practice. And so I just said, hey, if we need you, will you be ready? And he said, yeah, I'll just play outside leverage. And I said, outside, what are you talking about? He said, corner? I said, no, quarterback. He's like, oh, okay. I mean, that's just who he is. I mean, he's like, I can go play wherever. So we kind of got a good laugh out of that. I said, no, we're not at a position where we need you to do that. But that's just who he is. He has that feeling. He can punt, return, he can play wide out, he can play quarterback. He could go over on defense. I don't think depth-wise we're ever going to need that, hopefully. But no, he throws it well, and that's all he played until he got here. He played quarterback in high school. He didn't play one snap of wide receiver in his entire high school career. So he likes the opportunity and the challenge, to kind of think. And then also, it's going to help him down the road. I mean, he stays healthy. He's going to have a chance at the next level playing wide receiver, and man, to get experience really being in that quarterback meeting room and listening about how the guys go through their progressions and defenses and all that. I mean, he's just a sponge. He wants to learn as much as he can. So I think it's a win-win for him to get that opportunity.
Do you know if Trevor has been cleared yet? And then with Hunter, do you know how his reps are going to be split this week between receiver and quarterback?
Yeah. So Trevor, everything that I'm hearing is, Danny Poole and the medical staff feel a lot of positive signs. Everything's tracking the right way, and there's a chance that he'll be able to practice tonight. But I think they're going to let him lift and go through their protocol that they have. But they've been very optimistic. I think they're kind of finding out it was a little bit more of a neck strain the way he got hit than anything else. So that's been really good news. But no final decision on that's been made. And then, there'll be times throughout practice with Ben and Hunter where they'll be thrown in there. I know last week we threw Hunter in team pass at the end of a practice, and his words to the OL are, y'all bear with me here. It's his first day kind of being thrown out there. But, Coach Sweeney will do that a little bit on his own, and then Streeter also have a plan whenever we're going to scout team to get those guys some work. I mean, it's a lot of things. It's cadence. It's, being able to make the calls to the offensive line. There's a lot of things to that. But, I think we feel a little bit better going into this week now. Last week it was just trying to get Chase ready in case something happened to Trevor.
Jeff, how surreal is it that 5 months, I guess, after we're talking about this quarterback being one of the most decorated in college football,
Yeah.
that now we're talking about Hunter Renfrow?
Yeah, I mean, I think just kind of watching everything that's out there, I don't remember the exact stat, but I remember whenever Hunter decided to leave, Johnson decided to leave, there was some crazy stat that, 8 out of the 10 5-star quarterbacks from the last 2 years have transferred, so it's a different age, obviously, in college football. The transfer rules are a little bit more lax. And I think the quarterbacks are probably more prepared to play early than they have been in the past, just with what teams are doing at the high school level and the 7-on-7 and those type of things. So, if you were asking me 5 months ago if I felt like we'd be in this situation, my guess would be no. But if you ask me if I'm just completely shocked and surprised, I'm not. I mean, we knew that whenever we were recruiting Trevor, we knew that just by signing him was going to affect our quarterback classes for the next couple of years because he's that type of player. But there's also, we've said for a while about Chase, that Chase has kind of been that one guy that really hadn't bothered him at all. And I believe he committed after Trevor was already committed. And, we've kind of, as coaches, making comments to each other, we said if he'll just be patient, he's going to be the one that ends up playing a lot here because you're not going to get through seasons just with, one or two quarterbacks. Injuries do happen. I don't think that we expected it to happen this soon. But, hey, that's part of it. You learn from it, and, I think that makes you better down the road. We said in fall camp, we weren't just saying that, just trying to be nice to Chase. When we said we felt like we had three quarterbacks that we could win with, I mean, we really did. Obviously, Chase is the guy that had hasn't had the experience and played as much in the first 4 games, but he's done a good job on the practice field. He had a good spring, and the confidence that he got from Saturday, I think, is going to help him the rest of the year.
Does this trend affect how you recruit the position in any way?
I think at the end of the day, you still want to go sign the best guys that you can. I think it's really at every position. You got to kind of think through that, and that's for people a lot higher than me on, the 4-game. I don't think any of us really expected the 4-game red shirt rule having the effect that it did across the country. We were kind of excited because we'd be able to play some guys and keep them. But, at the end of the day, you still want to recruit the best players that fit Clemson. And I think if you continue to do that, here and there you may have an issue. But, I think it's also what you surround. If you have an issue at wideout, but you're really good at all the other positions, you can manage that. Having an issue with depth at quarterback, that's what we told Chase. Man, you got a lot of talent around you, and, you don't have to do this by yourself. And obviously that showed Saturday.
Jeff, just your thoughts on Gage's performance.
Yeah.
That late penalty, it seemed
Yeah,
like he
that was-
took advantage of his opportunity.
That's a good observation. I'm glad you brought that up. Gage is, Tremaine wasn't quite 100%, and so Sean moved out to right tackle, and so we played Cade Stewart and Gage Cervinka, and really felt like there in the second half, Gage did a really good job in there, and he had some key blocks, and he's been a guy that's kind of been having to cross train at center and at guard, but that's something that doesn't get talked about enough. You go back and watch the video, we probably don't win the game without Gage and some of the blocks that he made. We were short more than just, our starting quarterback. There's several other guys that were out, and to be able to run the ball like we did there in the second half, Gage was a big part of that. And again, that's another guy getting meaningful reps and adds to the depth. And that's also why you want to play as many guys as you can when you can, so that when you do have some of these injuries, it's not the guy's first time in there. And this was definitely not Gage's first time in there, but I think he played his best game in the opportunities that he was given, and so that'll be good for us down the road.
Jeff, 4th and 6, you guys play call. Chase is sitting there. He's got Galloway on the out. He's got the corner route. Which guy were you looking for him to throw the ball to? It looked like Galloway had broken open in the corner and ripped it up.
Yeah, really what I was looking at the defense. It's kind of like when you're playing video games, you're trying to decide who to throw to. So I'm looking at the defense trying to decide where he should throw the ball. And I'll say this too, we knew they were going to be more than likely in a 2 safety defense, but they were probably even a little bit more exotic with the look that they gave him, which I don't blame them, with a young guy out there. And so they tried to disguise it, and he went through his reads. He made the correct read and delivered the ball. I think the corner tried to play both a little bit, and obviously 4th and 6, you're hoping the corner would play a little bit more on the shallow and let you get the ball thrown in. If he played deeper, then we have to throw it to Galloway, and he's got to run for those last 3 or 4 yards to go get it. And I thought Chase showed great composure in that situation, read it correctly, and then threw a perfect ball. It really takes that to be able to get that done. For me, when it's 4th and 1, as coaches, you just kind of flash back, and I'm like, here we are. This is Pitt 2 years ago. And so to see ourselves now come back in that situation and overcome that late in the game when you have a chance to go win it, I think those are positives that you look for and to really show growth and encourage your guys down the road.
Jeff, it seems like every program either has broken ground or has a blueprint from one of those buildings there. It's obviously an advantage for you guys, but what are the reactions you get from recruits, from their families, when they walk through that for the first time?
Man, it's incredible. I think now with the social media, they've seen it and in their mind walk through it before they ever get here. But there's no doubt. It makes a statement is what it does. It makes a statement that, football and athletics is very important at Clemson, that you're going to have every resource. Coach Sweeney talks all the time, just like the sign, best is the standard. And, we're not just going to ask you for your best, but we're going to give you the very best resources that we can give you. And I think it makes a very loud statement to recruits and their families that football is important. And then also the part that I love is, we're kind of in the forefront of being ahead. We've got, it wasn't long ago that, the Oregons and Texas and all these people were the ones that had maybe the better facilities, and we're trying to catch up. And now to see those teams flying out here to see what we have, I really think, obviously you got to give a lot of credit to Coach Sweeney and Dan Radakovich and President Clements, and IPTE and all the people involved, the donors, to allow us to go be ahead. And that's something we're striving to do and we'll continue to do. I mean, we're always looking for ways to get better, but it makes a loud statement. It makes our job as recruiting coaches that go on the road and bringing guys in. I mean, I can remember years ago, my first year as a graduate assistant, us recruiting some top guys and trying to get them on campus, and we walked them around the facilities that we had at the time, and we never got them back. And it didn't matter if they liked you as a coach or whatnot. I mean, their eyes are seeing one thing, and they're maybe hearing another thing from you, and so, it allows us to, be able to check that box that we have some of the best, if not the best, facilities in the country. And really, it's not just about recruiting, it's for our players every day. I mean, these guys are every day are able to work, and just the functionality. I mean, we've got an unbelievable setup, and, just little things like being a flex inside every day, to do our walkthroughs inside every day, instead of being out there and having the heat on you, and just the cumulative effect of that over a long season. Like we said, we played 44 games in 3 years. I mean, there's advantages in that. And if your indoor facility is 2 miles away from your football complex, you got to make a legit decision that today we're going over there. So, there's a lot of things that have been put in place here that have allowed us to have the success that we're having. And, a lot of it is the support that we have from our donors, which is awesome and makes us proud going out recruiting to this type of environment.
All right, going to wrap them up so we start Coach B.